Honestly, I think that the biggest mistake when learning a new language is not having like your purpose like here, like top of mind, like that's it. Because honestly, and we have like recorded a lot of videos talking about comprehensible input, gamification, how to learn and when to learn grammar, how when to start speaking, blah 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 blah. But the reality is that if you have your purpose like top of mind, if you have it right here, like printed here, hey, you're gonna do it. Like regardless of the method you use, the method could be better for you if you just focus on listening, or if you start with early output, or you do it with flashcards, or you focus on working with Duolingo, whatever. Like
Yeah.
if you're focused, if you're committed to your goal, honestly, you're gonna do it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Business of Learning podcast. My name is Joao Camargo, and my guest here today is Juan Herrera, who is the CEO of WorldsAcross. Juan, thank you so much for being here. Welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's a big pleasure.
Amazing. I'm excited to have this chat with my Latino brother. So why don't we start off with you just telling everyone a little bit more about WorldsAcross, who you are, what you're all about, who you help, and any other context you want to share about the company.
Yes, of course. Well, as you mentioned, I'm Latino. I'm Venezuelan, living in Argentina, and we founded Worlds Across 3 years ago with my friends like Vicky and Osmel. And they're also Venezuelan. They also live in Argentina,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, we decided to create Worlds Across because we thought that we had what it takes to teach, to be ambassadors of our own culture, and not only to teach Spanish but also to represent who we are. And because at the end of the day, it's not just language. And when you are in this business, and we have been teaching languages for years now, like I have been a English teacher, French teacher, Spanish teacher, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And when you've been teaching languages for so long, I personally started when I was like 15 years old. And you understand that it's not just about a language. It's not about sentences. It's not about conjugations. It's not about that. It's about people. It's about culture. So we found that we created Worlds Across with the idea of representing Latin America and the entire world, sharing our culture, and through the culture, through personal interaction, like teach the language, like but for real, teach the language. Yeah.
Awesome. Good stuff. That's one amazing because I agree with you. I think there's so much more when it comes to language learning than just the sentences, the phrases, the book is on the table and donde está la biblioteca. Like it's so
Exactly.
much more than that, right? It's how you embed yourself in the culture and the slang and the ways to speak and all those things. So it's awesome. Tell me a little bit more and the listeners as well for some clarity. Are you helping just individuals who are looking to learn languages? Are you helping other companies who are trying to understand more? So tell them a little bit more about who you guys help.
At the moment, we're just B2C. We focus in tutoring, like Spanish tutoring, one on one. We teach Spanish with native Spanish speakers. We teach to people all over the world, like mostly Canada, the United States, the United Kingdom. And but honestly, we have students all over the world. And at the moment, the businesses focus on one-on-one tutoring, group tutoring, personalized coaching, like a lot of content provided by the platform to learn the languages like efficiently, to acquire the language more than to learn.
Right.
And yeah, that's who we are at the moment.
Amazing. I've had a couple other people that are a couple other leaders in different language learning companies on the podcast as well. And this is a question that I always really like to ask them, which is, what do you think are some of the biggest mistakes people make when they are trying to learn a new language? Because oftentimes we hear the gamification can help, the gamification can't help. The gamification is good or it's bad, or as you said, they just learn the sentences without actually learning the culture and the reason why behind why certain things are framed the way that they are. So, in your own perspective, no right or wrong answer. What do you think are some of the biggest mistakes?
Honestly, I think that the biggest mistake when learning a new language is not having like your purpose like here, like top of mind, like that's it. Because honestly, and we have like recorded a lot of videos talking about comprehensible input, gamification, how to learn and when to learn grammar, when to start speaking, blah 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 blah. But the reality is that if you have your purpose like top of mind, if you have it right here, like printed here, hey, you're gonna do it. Like regardless of the method you use, the method could be
Mm,
better for you if you just focus on listening, or if you start with early output, or you do it with flashcards. So you focus on working with Duolingo or whatever. Like
yeah.
if you're focused, if you're committed to your goal, honestly, you're gonna do it.
Mm,
Like failure is there just when you don't have like that motivation, that's something that is pushing you. If you don't have it, like it's gonna you're gonna fail because that's the most important thing you need to learn a language. I guess I
yeah.
think to learn anything.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and that's not the answer I was expecting because there have been different responses to it, and I can't remember all of them right now. But I actually agree with you because it's so interesting. Sometimes we want to learn something just to learn something. Like, yeah, it would be cool.
Ah,
That's not a
exactly.
strong enough foundation, right? So, but when that foundation is there, then there's the motivation. Then when you're on the days where like I just don't understand this, well, no problem. You want to learn it, so you're gonna figure it out.
And honestly, Joe, I've seen people like succeeding and speaking Spanish with me fluently by just listening to podcasts, by just working with flashcards, by having conversations with their
Mm,
teachers, by writing songs in paper sheets. It's amazing. If you're committed, like you're gonna do it, like, and you'll find a method that is more like suitable for you, like you like the most. But at the end of the day, if you focus, if you're motivated, you're gonna do it.
awesome. I really like that. And then I'm curious to understand too, you guys being a South America company who actually helps mostly North America, some of the UK, Europe, I'm assuming Australia a little bit as well.
Yeah.
How does it feel? Talk to me about how you see being a company that is actually outside of these countries, outside of the I guess the Western world, but is working in these spaces.
Yeah. It's hard because, y'all, I'm not gonna lie to you. In Latin America, like there is a lack of education regarding entrepreneurship. Like you don't really have a lot of information about like trying to create your own company, trying to succeed, trying to grow globally. It's very hard,
Hmm.
and basically we're there in a market that is full, like it's very aggressive, with big monsters in the tank.
Yeah.
But honestly, at the moment, I think there's no better time to start a business, to be an entrepreneur,
Hmm.
because of like how internet connect us. Like just thinking how you can have a conversation. One of my best friends is this Australian guy who was my student, and this Australian guy who is living in New York City. He's one of my best friends at the moment, and just understanding that 10 years ago this would have been impossible, and
Yeah.
now he comes to my house and I go visit him. We walk around Washington Square Park, and we have fun, and we connect because of the internet. It's amazing, and
Hmm.
I'm gonna go back to your point. Again, there's no better time to be like an entrepreneur, especially if you're like here in Latin America, than this. Again, because of the internet, because AI. That again, many people could ask me like, "Hey, aren't you afraid that AI is gonna take away your job? Like it's gonna be teaching
Sure.
Spanish all over the world?" I think it's a AI is a big like assistant. Like it's fantastic. And again, with globalization, internet, AI, all we have all these opportunities, all these weapons to be able to, to succeed, to start like to
Hmm.
create your startup and start being known in different parts of the world, not just your little city, your little town.
Yeah.
Which I'm proud of being of a little city, from a little city in Venezuela. So, you know,
No, yeah, I agree with it. And it's interesting. It's just interesting because it's as you said, there has never been an easier time, but it's also like it goes back to what you said before, which is what's your purpose? Are you actually
oh yeah,
driving to these things? Because there are so many people also like I know a lot of people. I'm originally from Brazil, for anyone that's listening and hasn't known that for a million episodes that we've done. I know a lot of people from my country who also have the same access, all these things, but they just choose not to, and that's okay. Like it's each to each one their own paths. But this is the time to take advantage of so many of these things, and I think especially for you guys, if someone wants to learn Spanish, who better than a person that is native in Spanish, right? So it's always an advantage, yeah. As opposed to and not to to diminish anyone that teaches Spanish that is not a native Spanish speaker, because I'm sure there are plenty phenomenal teachers there. But personally, I would love to learn from someone who is like knows the language back and forth like the back of their hands. So that's a huge advantage, I would assume as well.
Yeah, 100%. Like having native Spanish speakers were, again, not only tutors, teachers, but also ambassadors of the
Mm,
culture, like, because the beautiful part of the story is when a class becomes, like a talk about cultural or traditions during Christmas in Colombia, or how they do, I don't know, party like celebrations, like birthdays in Mexico. What do
yeah.
we sing in Argentina when we, I don't know. Like that's a beautiful part of the story that, like, we give this extra, like it's not
Mm,
just about learning the language, it's about like become part of a community, be part of this, and like be part of the culture,
yeah.
That's beautiful. And let me tell you a quick story. I'm sorry
Sure.
to interrupt.
I like
uh,
stories.
when I was learning English, well, I had already learned English in that moment. I was like 16 years old,
Okay.
and 17 years old, and I got a like a scholarship. Like I was sponsored by the U.S. Department of State and an organization called Partners of the Americas to go and represent Venezuela in Tennessee and Washington D.C. and
Hmm.
and I noticed how, like, how beautiful it is to not only learn the language but to use it in real context. So I fell in love with football, American football. I
Okay.
fell in love with
The
country
fake
music.
one. The fake one.
Yeah, exactly the fake one.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, it was like I was like I wish all my friends and classmates learning English in Venezuela could have this like experience
Yeah,
of
the experience.
actually being part of the culture, being involved. It makes everything so much more effective, like it's
Yeah, and I agree.
100%.
Yeah, I think so as well, because then you get immersed into it. It's not just like this distant thing that you learn about. It's like no, you're in it. You're in it, and it
Right.
becomes so much easier to flow from there. So that's awesome. Thank you for sharing those. I would love to shift a little bit of our conversation now to Worlds Across itself and the company, because even though, as we said, there are many advantages to that and many great things. One thing that I always like to highlight in this podcast is that business is not sunshines and rainbows. There's challenges along the way for everybody, even though sometimes we don't see them. So, tell me a little bit about some of those challenges that you guys face when it comes to growing the company, reaching your goals, and of course, achieving the impact that you want to achieve. But most importantly, being able to have the foundation on the business side.
Yeah, well, I think the biggest challenge at the moment, not only for us but for most entrepreneurs in Latin America, based in Latin America, is not having, not like not having access, or not even access, because we do have it at the moment, but we don't have this culture of like entrepreneurship, like
Mm,
how to be an entrepreneur, how to raise capital, what is a KPI, what is CTR, or like where do you have to focus, how do you
mm,
like find, again, investors, how do you pitch an idea, like I and my brother lives in the States,
mm,
and I have a lot of friends there, and from my sister-in-law I get that there's a little more culture on entrepreneurship, on business in general, investments in, for example, in America, And I think, again, the biggest challenge is that cultural part, that like not being aware of that when we
mm,
were growing up, or when we were teenagers, when we were in college. And at the end of the day, like I remember being interested in like having a startup, like creating something from my own, like but with like TV and with books and YouTube, and then with my co-founder, like my two co-founders are great. BP is my best friend since I was like 10 years old, and Osmel is such a brilliant guy. Like and he's very like passionate and he's very motivated, and he likes to learn, particularly about business
Hmm.
and just like trying to grow, trying to learn from him and with him.
Yeah.
It's been helping us. But again, the biggest
Yeah.
difficulty here is having that cultural, that mindset. Like entrepreneurship is not something that we discuss every day here in
Interesting.
America.
Interesting. It sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but it sounds like it's you mentioned the awareness side of things, but more like not having that full depth on maybe possible different strategies, how to position for this type of marketing, this type of sales, how to do the systems internally, applying all these things differently. So then it's almost like you're trying to play catch up in a way. Is that a completely no?
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Mm,
And that's a big challenge. And honestly, part of like creating worlds across is trying to prove like to the world and to Latin Americans that we can do it, like that we can grow, that we can like regardless of
mm,
specific situations, like
yeah.
government, economic situations, whatever, like you can grow. Like you can grow your business, you can succeed, you can.
Yeah, and then yeah, again, just always circling back to what you said before. It has never been easier, right? But
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that it is easy.
No, it's not
Right?
easy. Like it's not easy. It's beautiful though,
Yeah, yeah,
but I mean that's the biggest challenge. But of course, there are like micro unit. It's a
yeah,
big universe with micro universe. Like it's
yeah, for sure. And it's so interesting because that actually ties into my next question that I've been asking almost everyone on the podcast. Because in business, there are always so many different priorities, so many different fires that we want to put out, so many things that we're like, hey, we need to solve that, we need to solve that, we need to solve that. So here's the question that I've been asking almost everyone, which is this: let's say you had a magic wand and if you just solve one challenge, one obstacle in the business, that would allow you to hit your revenue goals, your client acquisition goals, really allowing that company to have the growth that you're looking for. Other than just, hey, yeah, give me $1 billion of funding. I think that's
yeah,
cheating. That's cheating here.
yeah,
So
no, no.
something that's in your control, something that's in your everyday. Maybe it's something to do with business development. Maybe it's marketing. Maybe it's sales. Maybe it's systems. Really, anything. You solve that problem by waving the wand. What's the one
Mm.
thing you want to solve?
Probably is churn, like 0% churn, because we're on a monthly membership model, and and when I talk about churn, I talk about LTV, I talk about being a priority for most people, right?
Mm,
And sometimes, like even when we do our best, like we are so obsessed with trying to make things perfect, like best customer service, I think like that's our motto, like customer first. Like it's not enough to have just a good class, you need to have the best class. Like I always tell my tutors when I see them, like imagine like in that moment where you have that class, it's like the Super Bowl, it's like your own Super Bowl. Like you have to do your best, like it's your moment, you can change
mm,
one person's day, one person's life.
yeah.
Like it's just that moment. Well, and but sometimes, regardless of that effort we put, sometimes people have different priorities. Like oh no, I have to save some money because blah blah blah. Oh no, I'm traveling. I'm not going to use it for 3 months, and so thank you. I love you guys. Or maybe we make a mistake, of course, and it happens. It
Mm,
happens. But at the end of the day, like having that part, like not having control of the amount of people that cancel their memberships and stuff, it's complicated. It's a number that is it's right here with us because
mm.
uh, importantly, customer acquisition is great for us. The word of mouth is fantastic, and we're growing, of course, like step by step.
Yeah, yeah,
We're improving in technology and in education in general. But again, n- and it's also part of the need to learn Spanish. It's not like, I don't know, like education, like going to high school or going to elementary school. That should be like all of, like, everyone should do it.
yeah. Hmm.
Everyone should do it. Like Spanish is something basically you go because you want to do it, right?
Hmm.
You go because you have the time to do it. It's not like I know you're from Brazil. It's not like our situation. Well, my situation. I'm gonna speak for myself. That I learned English because if I didn't, I was basically doomed. uh, so if they don't learn Spanish, it's okay for them, and that's an important part of the story. Like churn,
Mm.
if you give it a net one, hey, churn 0%, 0% forever. Hey,
Mm.
fantastic.
Interesting. And I don't always ask this follow up. Thank you for sharing that. But I think I'm going to ask it for you.
Uh-huh.
What can you do to solve that problem? Or what are you doing to solve that problem?
That's a very good question. And honestly, we're working hard on improving our whole platform, the user experiences across the ecosystem. We're trying to provide even more value to our students,
Hmm.
and to make it easier for them to receive that value from our tutors. And we're trying to make things better for them. Like, we again, it's about training our staff. It's about, like, creating a better ecosystem for our students, our staff, to, like, to coexist.
Yeah,
I think eventually, and I hope soon, we'll reach, uh, like, I won't say 0%, but a great churn rate. We'll do it because we're working very hard to do it.
for sure. Amazing. Thanks for sharing that too. Because like once the right systems are in place, like I think 0% is definitely unrealistic
Yeah,
for even any business, right? But bringing that down to like under three can make such a huge difference. So no, but it's
totally.
great because yeah, once things are in place and like you find the right things to implement in the back end, the right systems, the right nurturing, the right value that you can add, all these different things that can sometimes not even be extra cost, but just by implementing, it creates huge
Totally.
returns. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
And go
I
ahead,
think
finish your
it's
thought.
gonna be it's gonna be a consequence of just doing the right thing, like doing their job, like training the staff, like
Yeah,
creating
yeah.
this. It's gonna be a consequence of, like, good good habits, I guess, like, yeah, decision making.
Awesome, good stuff. I have one final question for you here,
Yeah.
Juan, which is actually not a question from me. It's a question from our last guest to you, and they had no idea who you were.
Okay.
So here is their question. You ready for it?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yes. What's the biggest bet you're going to make to put your company in the best position possible for the next 3 years?
The biggest bet, technology. Like,
Mm.
honestly, technology. A lot of, and we are actually working towards that specific goal, like investment in technology. And I know many people are against AI. Like, my brother is a high school teacher, by the way. Sorry, an elementary school teacher, and my sister-in-law, she is an elementary school teacher, and they are so against AI and so
Interesting.
against, like, yeah. And I know many people have this position, but I think AI is gonna help us.
Yeah, yeah.
It's gonna make things more effective, maybe not easier for the customer, in this case, the student, because I think nothing's gonna replace the one-on-one, the face-to-face interaction between, like, a student and a tutor.
Hmm.
But the rest of the story, everything that surrounds the specific interaction, and is gonna be so, like, nurtured by the use of AI, automations, technology, like, and that's our biggest bet at the moment, like technology.
Yeah, no, it's I like that too because
Like that.
so many, yeah, so many people can be against it, and I totally understand it. But I think AI is one of those things where it's not gonna go away. Like there's no going back here. So it's either be against it and like fight the force that is not something easy to do, or maybe impossible, dare I say, right now, or just like really adopt it, accept it, and do your best to try to put it in the right places, or fit it into the right holes, to make sure that it actually assists you as opposed to replace you. Because I think it's one of those things, as you said, it's going to be such a huge tool for the people that want to make it a tool to help them. But for the ones that are just like sitting back, is like, oh, you might be left behind here. So let's work together. Let's work together, and may the robots not destroy us all.
Oh yeah, definitely. Hopefully they will be like I always say thank you and good morning.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
Juan, thank you so much for your time. This has been such a great conversation. Where should people go if they want to learn a little bit more about you and a little bit more about Worlds Across?
Go to worldsacross.com, go to the YouTube channel, go and learn more about us, learn Spanish. Spanish is fantastic. It's going to change the world in the next 10 years. I'm completely sure about that. And no, thank you so much for having me. It was a great conversation.
I really appreciate you. I'll leave everything down below here in the description if you're listening and you want to check that out. And if you're, again, still listening and you want to hear more conversations like this, you've learned something new, you want to keep learning something new, please hit subscribe, and I will see you on the next episode. Thank you so much for your time, Juan.